Yo, what's up, guys? It's Trader X again, coming to you from Soweto. All right, so I'm trying something out today. Trying something out due to a lot of requests that I received. But however, though, it's a little different to the requests that I received. The requests that I receive, I normally receive from Facebook as well as the Telegram chat group. And a lot of people have been asking me, to post or make a video on potential setups that I'm going to be taking at that particular time, right? Or yeah, really, that's all they're asking. They're asking me to just post potential setups so you guys can see. The reason I don't want to do that is because I want you guys to learn from me. I want you guys to learn how to trade supply and demand like I do and make profits off of it. Hopefully, in the long run, essentially, right? Yeah, so that's the whole reason I'm making all of these tutorials, just so that you guys can put everything together and hopefully have a working system moving forward, right? I mean, that's the whole reason I started this channel. But like I said, now I'm doing I'm trying something out to see if it, you guys will agree with it and you want me to carry on or continue to do this. But yeah, it's something that I've never done. Something that I've never done really. So this is uncharted territory for me. All right, so let's jump into it. So I'm going to be sharing two of my trades, two of the trades that I took. Right. So don't concentrate too much on the the leverage that I actually use. I don't need to mention that I've been doing this for quite a long time, and yeah, my risk management is something that I take very, very seriously, and I expect that you also take it very, very seriously. So now, before we go ahead, if this is the first time you see this, or this is the first time you come to this channel, welcome to the channel. You just so happen to stumble across it when I try something new. Yeah, feel free to stay, keep them subscribes coming. Yeah, it's really a sign that I'm doing something quite right, right? Other than that, thank you once again for every single one of you guys who've subscribed, showing your support. I mean, yeah, keep subscribing and I'll keep churning out the content. I'll keep trying to teach you everything that I actually need to know. Oh, well, that I know rather, and you need to know, right? All right. So, like I said in the previous video, there will be another tutorial that I'm actually preparing for. I'm not really preparing for anything. I'm gonna be recording it during the weekend, right? So it should be ready before Sunday, and you can take a look at that. Um, it is supply and demand. Why I forgot the title. Why time is money or something. That's the one. So that will be uploaded on Sunday. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. So without further ado, let's jump into my setups. Not my setups, my trades, right? Like I said, you need not concern yourself with the leverage. The leverage is something that I would not really leverage, but my risk management is something I take very, very seriously, right? So yeah, take away the setup themselves and how I actually took or made the decision. Don't concentrate on my leverage. Again, I do not like showing people how much I make because that defeats the whole purpose. Um, yeah, the whole purpose of you learning instead, right? So I need you to learn. I don't need you to, and I mean, it's not gonna help you in any way or shape or form if I show you how much I make, right? But anyway, let's jump into it. So the first, the first pair that I actually took. Let me see. Is New Zealand dollar, right? NZD USD. So there's the setup right there. And as you can see, right down here is my entry. Let me just show you once more. Where did I take this on? I think I took this one at the 4 hour chart. But this is what it looks like on the hourly chart, right? As you know, I operate mostly on the hourly chart and the 4 hour chart, right? So the daily time frame gives me my trend. My 4 hour chart and my hourly chart intraday time frames are really where I enter essentially. So that's where I go into execute all of my trades, my buys and my sells, or whichever way, right? But my daily, I predominantly follow the daily. The daily chart is where the money is at. It's where I get my trend from, right? So as you can see, this is a buy order. This is a buy order. Right down here, the green zone here, my demand zone right down here. That's where I bought yesterday, right? And I'm sure you're wondering why did I buy here. Let me explain real quick. Sorry guys. So for that, I'm gonna jump into my daily chart. So the daily chart is where I got all the information whether I need to buy or sell, right? Now as you can recall from my previous videos, I had mentioned to you how to identify the trend and how to better anticipate something happening in order for you to be able to, jump in on a potential reversal of trend. You know what I mean? So in this case, we can clearly see a sequence of higher highs and higher lows, right? I didn't mark all of them, but you can clearly see by these dotted lines here, trend lines here, if you want to call them that. I'm just going to call them lines. So what happened here is, if I can draw your attention to this arrow here, this little arrow down here, let me make it a bit thicker. Here we go. So what happened here is, right down here is where I took my trade. So yesterday when I looked at this pair, I could clearly see that, a downtrend here is already underway, right? But yesterday we were at this candle here, this red candle here. If you can just take a look at this arrow pointing down, we were at this red candle here. Well, it hadn't completely formed, right, when I looked at the chart itself. Now remember, I told you that once we come from either a higher high, a higher low, a lower low, or a lower high, the next thing that's going to come is in the sequence of either downtrend or uptrend. In this case, we came from a higher high down here, up here rather. We came from a higher high up here, and we were down here. So I knew that price has to stop somewhere and either give us a higher low or a lower low, right? And in this case, as you can see, I marked it here. It gave us a lower low, right? Because it's lower than the previous low, right? It gave us a lower low, right? But the main thing is it has to stop somewhere. And when it stops somewhere, I hope price gives me a zone, right? This is where, the bankers could either be taking profits, or they could either be buying or selling, whatever the case is. But in this case, they could be taking profits or buying, right? And in this case, they are buying. Right. Now let me show you how I took that trade. So I knew that, a lower low or a lower high is in sight, right? So I needed to get myself ready to find a demand zone for me to take my trade off of, right? So from the daily chart, I knew that. I went down to the 4-hour chart, and in the 4-hour chart, the arrow again pointing down. Right here, we can see that there's a gap between these two candles, between these two bullish candles here. And I need not remind you that gaps are what essentially are quite strong signals to me. Not really signals, but they give off strong zones to me. And I hope that you also follow gaps as well. So when I saw this gap, I knew that should price return to this level here, I need to be there. I need to take my trade right there. And that's exactly what I did. So I took this trade based on the 4-hour chart, because if you go over to the hourly chart, as we can clearly see, there's no zone there. Well, not a clear one that I can see, but there's no zone there for me, right? So, but on the 4-hour chart, we've got a gap here. And that's exactly what I need to see. See that? So I found a gap right there, and I knew that price is going to have a reaction to the upside once it comes back here. And guess what? Bob's your uncle. The reaction is there. So we're sitting at, let me just take a look here real quick. I won't be able to see, but we're sitting at about 61 pips already in the profit. So this could easily be a 1-2, I would think possibly over 8 reward, but I'm not gonna take it now. I'm just gonna hold off on it. The reason I'm gonna hold off on it is because we've just taken out this high here. Based on the 4-hour chart, right? So there's a huge possibility that it's still going to continue up. It will come down. Don't ever get it twisted. It will come down to find a higher high, a higher low right down here, right? Before it shoots up again, right? But I will lock in my 3-1 here, and then I hope that price actually does what I wanted to do before it continues on the upside. So I'm hoping that this continues to go higher, all right? Because if you take a look at the daily chart, we've got sequences of higher highs and higher lows. So if we beat this high here, if price beats this high here, I'm going to hold on to it for quite a long time, right? But we'll see what happens. The next one is Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, AUD, NZD. Same kind of thing happened here. Now, let's go over to the daily chart again. So the daily chart here, as we can see, another arrow. Let me get another arrow down. As we can see here, a gap had already happened here. Sure, we can all see that a gap had already happened. I went in based on this session here, this bullish candle before this big drop, right? So this bullish candle here. So when I went in, I saw this gap here. But for some odd reason, I did not see it. So I didn't take this trade a day before or the day before, right? That's okay. On Monday, I didn't take this trade, but that's okay, right? So what happened? Why did I take this trade here? So on the session, this is where yesterday, this is where I got my zone, my supply zone, where I actually took this position here. And when I woke up, Bob's your uncle again, big drop to the downside, right? So the decision, how did I get the decision? How did I make the decision? As you can see as well, to the left, we've got a sequence of higher highs and higher lows, which only started here. Previously, we had lower lows and lower highs, right? And then it transitioned into a higher high, higher low, higher high again, and now we're back at a lower low right down here. Now also, right, never get it twisted. Here, I knew that we just come off, let me just make that a little bit thicker so you can see. I knew that we just come off a higher high, right? Thanks to that gap as well. It gave me further confidence in taking this trade. So at this very thick line here, I knew that we had just come out of a higher high, right? Which is here at the arrow. And thanks to that gap, it solidified that, right? So what I needed to look for is I needed to look for a supply zone, rally based drop essentially, right? And yeah, I just so happened to find that at the 4-hour chart. So when I knew this, I had already known that from this higher high, we could either be finding a higher low or a lower low. And in this case, we're on our way to find a lower low, right? Because it takes out the previous higher low, which is right here, right? So I went over to the 4-hour chart, took a look at the 4-hour chart, and at the 4-hour chart, there really isn't any zone right there that I could have taken advantage of, right? Like I said, I didn't take this trade. I do not know why, but I didn't take this trade the day before, which would have worked out, right? So I would have still been in profit had I taken it the day before, thanks to that gap, right? Remember, guys, gaps are very, very important. So had I taken this, it would have been a lovely thing because I had already known that, we just established a higher high, which is here, and that gap further solidified the fact that that is a higher high, right? And when price came back to the zone by means of this candle here, I wasn't there, so I missed this one. But luckily, I found another zone, supply zone that I took. It's not on the 4-hour chart right here. It's not on the 4-hour chart, right? So I went over to the hourly chart, which is the smallest intraday time frame that I operate at, and here is where I got my zone. So when this candle popped up here, this bearish engulfing candle popped up, I knew that I had to jump in. Now another thing that solidified, that gave me the confidence to jump in is the fact that on the hourly chart, a sequence of lower lows and lower highs had started. I'm sure we can see that, right? So I knew that from down there, from this lower low here, we have to be finding a lower high. If not a lower high, it would have been a higher high, and therefore I would have changed, how I looked at the markets. But I knew that I'm anticipating a lower low, a lower high right here, right? Anywhere here, right? And in this case, it came up when I saw, or I knew that we had found it when I saw this engulfing pattern here, right? That engulfing pattern there drew my distal and proximal, and I knew that that's my supply zone that I need to be looking at. And yeah, price came back into it, picked up my order, filled my order rather, and Bob's your uncle again. We went down to the downside, right? So that's it, guys. So that's how I make my decisions. I need to see price moving in a particular sequence in order for me to be able to take the trade, right? I don't just jump in hoping for the best. You need to be meticulous as well. Remember, the banks are very, very meticulous. They leave nothing to chance, right? So as a retail trader, you also not need to leave anything for chance, right? What you need to be doing is you need to be operating like the banks themselves, right? So in the previous video, remember, I had shown you why the trend matters and where the banks possibly, or where the banks are transacting, right? Whether they're taking profit or they're pumping money into the markets, right? Both those things are critical in me, making my decisions in the market. And I hope that you go back and you rewatch it and you learn from it and understand why I had actually made those particular tutorials, in order for you to be able to understand the dynamics of how the you can call them the market makers or the bankers, whatever, how they actually operate in the market. And once you start to understand how they operate in the market, then can you be able to produce, you know, um, then can you only then and only then can you be able to produce results that I'm producing currently. Right? I'm not saying that I'm the best trader on earth. I do lose trades, some of my trades, but more often than not, I always make a profit because everything of my system is rock solid, including my risk management. So, guys, it's been 15 minutes. I hope you now see that I'm not in this to play. I'm not just in this to just you know think, or rather, a lot of people on YouTube like saying, yeah, it's a putting things, explaining things in hindsight is easy. This is not hindsight, and I hope that I've changed your mind. I hope that you go back to those tutorials and you learn something from them, instead of you just trying to bash my system. My system works for me, and I hope it works for you once you go back and you watch everything that I've uploaded, including two more videos that I'm going to be making in the near future, right? Including the one that's coming on Sunday, and the last one, I don't know when I'm gonna upload that, but it should be uploaded during this month as well. Other than that, guys, I really, really appreciate your watching. Thanks once again, and have a good one. So I'll try. I'm gonna wait for your feedback, guys. I need your feedback to just tell me whether I should continue with videos in this manner or in this format. And if we're all in agreement, then I'll go ahead and do that. I'm not going to be showing you potential setups. You guys need to figure those out on yourself. That's the only way that you're going to learn. I'm not a signal service. You need to understand that every single person that keeps telling me to post potential setups and the setups that I'm going to be taking, I'm not going to do that, because I'm not a signal service. I'm trying to get you guys to learn and trade like I do, right? So I hope you understand where I'm coming from. But this I can't continue to do. I can't continue to show you the trades that I've taken. But like I said, I'm going to need your approval on that. If I don't get the approval, this will be the only video, unfortunately, that I'm going to be doing on this topic. And that, guys, thanks a lot. It's quite early in the morning. I just got up, so figured I should record this for you guys. Yeah, I'm just going to go back to my regular self now. I'm out.